Hello, right, so I thought it was about time I did an update on the diesel heater installation, other work I've done since the last video and just generally how it's going. So it's now very late December 2021. So I thought I'd get this done, where I'm at with it, and I'm pretty much settled on it now, or sorted. But if I do any more modifications regards to the night heater in the van, I will just include it on a normal vlog. But yeah, so since I did the last video and initially installed it, I've done a few upgrades in the time that's elapsed since, and as I've done them, I've filmed a little update, so they'll be on my phone for a long time. So I'm just going to put them on now, so they'll be in, date order. I'll come back at the end and just give a bit of a summary about where I'm at. Alright, so there's the kind of where I was at the end of part one. So yeah, wheel box, that bit there, I had to do that line in there so it's all insulated behind there, so I could fit I had to do that before I fitted the heater and the thing over there. So next step is just to insulate behind all these are expanding foam. So that's been done over that way. This one had to drill along, inject it in. Yeah, I've used 3 cans of expanding foams so far. I've got 1 left. I think I'm going to need at least another 1 to do with doors and stuff as well. Along the bottom, this is just standard loft insulation, 100mm. That was like 19 quid a roll from B&Q. So that's behind there, which is what's behind this one as well. And that's there, so that one's ready for the panel. I'll panel that one in now and panel this one in. I have to do a little cutout for this one for the wires and the fuel pipe to come through. Yeah, the next step, like I said, is just to insulate it so I can run the heater at a lower power output and keep it quieter over the when I'm sleeping overnight, so obviously save on diesel. Yes, it's going alright so far. Starting to sort of get there now. When I get more wooden panels on the side, it'll definitely look a lot more complete. Right, hello again. So yeah, it's quite a bit later now. It's actually Easter weekend now, Easter Sunday. Yeah, so I'm really happy the way it's running, but I'll talk more about it later. But because I'm happy with how it's running, I've decided it's time to finally box it in. So what I have been doing, I've just been putting my high-vis jacket over it, so that when I turn up to collect the goods at customers, it's just out of sight. People don't go, "What's that?" I did have one shipper ask because I didn't cover it. Delivering to their depot, so yeah, I'm going to box it in partly just to keep it out of sight, and the other one is just to protect it because I've done a few like multi-drop jobs, parcel delivery in the last few months, and I was conscious of making sure don't knock it. It's a bit of a pain, so if I box it in like this, I should be able to protect it. So yeah, basically just using some thin timber section. Got the sticker up there, it's like 20 by 25mm or something, this timber, most of it. Obviously screwed through here, and as I said in the first video, behind that I put the brace in, so there's some of this timber behind here, so that's screwed into there, and I think this screw's actually screwed into the metalwork of a pillar, so that's pretty strong against there. And then just boxed it in, so it's pretty strong. Cross brace there. So I've got this ply, which is 9mm ply, or the same as the floor actually, and the same as the wheel arches. So that's going to do a sheet down here and a sheet on here with obviously holes for the air in and air out. I might put a few extra holes as well, just so I can inspect underneath the heater. But that's as far as we've got so far with boxing this in. Right, update. So finished boxing this in. So yeah, let's have a look at it. Yeah, so here it is. Obviously it looks like an extended wheel arch cover. So starting on this side, this is the outlet for the heated air. So just very quickly, this is like the cover, it just clips into there and directs it. So when I've got it running, before I start it up, I think I will put that on to help push the air towards the back of the van, because the intake's towards the front. Can't really leave that on all the time because it sticks out further than here. So if I get a pallet put in the van or boxes or whatever, that's just going to get knocked off and break. So I'll only put on when I need it. 2 holes down here, there, just so I can have a look underneath, check out the fuel pipe if I need to check if there's any air in it somehow, and also so I can get like a hoover in there, a hoover head nozzle, which I still need to do. So I've got the sawdust in there that I can't get to, and the house one was not strong enough, so I have to stop at the garage, this more powerful one. And this here is the air intake. You can just see the grill there for the intake for the heater. That's drawing the air in that way. And then on the top, the way I've done it is to have this top cover here. It's just like slots in, so I can lift it off, hold either side to grab hold of it with. So I can get in to check things out. The heater control's in there, so I'm just gonna, before I start it up, I'll be able to fish it out. Probably just hang that at the edge like that, and then I can run it. Obviously I don't want this on the outside because it's just going to get damaged, so while it's in there it's protected. So you could do a bit of a clean. And there's a ducting from the heater through to the back side of that, and there's drawing it through as well. So that's a lot really. It's quite sturdy. I won't be sitting on it or anything. I use that as my little bench when I'm getting dressed and stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty happy so far. It's pretty sorted. So obviously then just come up a bit, about 10mm. This is 9mm ply or 8mm ply. So yeah, I'll just poke that back in there. Put the lid back on. There we go. So I can, if I'm doing multi-drop or loads of parcels, I can build it up around here. I did a job a few weeks ago and it was rolls of fabric, and it was a bit of a pain really because they loaded a van which I wasn't keen on. But yeah, with this, you know, you can stack it on top and stuff, and it should be pretty sturdy. So it took a while, as he's everything to do with this project has, but yeah, quite happy with it. So just got to box that one in next, as well as put a piece of wood over here to cover this. Yeah, this was the priority really, and then just continue insulating the van. That is what's left to finish off the project. Still not sure about whether I'm going to put a roof vent up here. There's no rush for that. Gonna have a think about it, but I'm deciding on not bothering at the moment. Anyway, so that is it so far. This is the Easter weekend update. Probably going to be a while before I finish this project because there's no rush really now, because it's into decent weather. Right, it's been a while. It's actually the Sunday before May Bank Holiday weekend. I'm still using it regularly, working a treat. Biggest issue I've got with it noise wise is not the actual heater, the fan on the heater, because when I have it on high power to get it up to temperature, and I put it quite low on manual setting, quite low, like 1.2 to 1.6 hertz, and the fan's really quiet then. But the issue is, as I read with some other stuff online, it's the dosing pump. So what I'm doing at the moment, I need to cover the fuel tank and dosing pump and fuel filter area anyway to protect it. So I'm just doing a few little mods that I've read online and stuff I've come up with myself to try and make it a bit quieter, so I don't really have to wear earplugs when I'm sleeping, which I'm finding the only really way to get a good night's sleep really because of the noise. But anyway, I'll just flick it over and show you what I've done. So here you go, is the tank. As I say, we've seen this before, obviously. So I need to box this in. Plan's put a sheet of wood, so I've cut the wood to size. There it is, just 9mm ply. 4 screws down either side. So that's going to cover it and protect it. But what I wanted to do, as I say, is try and cut down on the noise. So something I read online was to, this is the dosing pump, as I've shown before when I installed it. Suspended off cable ties through the little eyelets, and that helps to reduce the noise a bit because it's not hard mounted, or even with a rubber mount to something like the bulkhead in, that would really make a noise. So that they've been there like for a long time, but what I read online was just to put some bubble wrap over it. These cable ties are only loose, just to hold it down and stop it moving around. It's all dry in here, that's the main thing. No diesel leaks, touch wood. That'll stay the case. So that's the first bit, I've done that. And once this is panelled off, what I want to do is kind of isolate the noise in here. You've got these little louver vents in the bulkhead. See, there's one over there as well. So that's not a big issue really, because that's letting the obviously the sound waves will go into the front of the van, and then they'll just dissipate from there, so that's alright. So I'm not going to block them up, but what I want to do is stop the noise getting out into the back of the van. So the way I'd built this, I had a gap here, so I just used some foam. This foam just came with some packaging as part of something I bought for one of my bikes, I think. So I just kept it because I thought, oh yeah, that'll be no, actually this actually came with a heater, the heater kit, thinking of it. So cut it down to size, stuffed some in here, done a reasonably tidy job, done the same on the other side. So that's going to stop the sound getting out that way. And then I've just kind of stuffed a little bits, where are we? In the corner there to stop them getting further up there. Actually, I've done it on the side. And I've also under here as well, so that's above the louvery bits. Stuffed some up there so it's not getting up there behind the tank and out. And then this panel, this piece even, is cut to size, so that's going to go there. And when I put the all of a sudden there's loads of traffic. When I put the wooden panel on, that will compress that down. It could do with being a bit thinner really, but it should be alright, I think. And that should hopefully kind of like isolate this area noise wise with the bubble wrap on the pump. The pump doesn't get hot or anything because it's just a solenoid pump. A few people I've read have done that, which does make a difference. Yeah, so that's that. So basically I'll let you know in the future if it makes much difference. And job done. If you can spot the difference, yeah, I actually screwed it on, then I realised I'd forgot to put these holes here. My plan was originally to put these holes here and also some holes down the bottom so I could see underneath where the pump was and see if there was any leakage or anything, but if there is any leaks, it's diesel, I'm going to smell it anyway. And obviously, yeah, just some experience, I realised I need to quieten down the pump, or isolate the noise from the pump as best as possible. So I wasn't going to drill holes from the head, and I forgot to drill these holes, and these holes are obviously for the level, so I can see how much is in the tank. So you can see it down to here, there. And basically I know now if it gets below this one I need to top it up, or if it's in here I could probably get one more out of it comfortably, and then I can see when I fill up if it needs to put any in the tank or not, in the diesel heater tank. Yeah, so that's that boxed off. Still got a few more jobs to do, so yeah, like I say, it's an ongoing project. I'll film updates when I get round to the rest of it. Right, actually 19th of September now, 2021, so a long time since I did the last update. Reason being, it's obviously been summer, so I've not been using the night heater. So the jobs that I've kind of needed to do before I start using it in winter, I said to myself I need to get sorted. Kind of left them a bit, well, not really that late. So yeah, I thought now's the time to get it all sorted, ready for the coming winter. So the next job is to improve the sort of sound insulation around the dosing pump. So the actual heater down here, that's not an issue in terms of noise, because when it's on low setting it's really quite quiet, the fan's quiet. The issue is the tick 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 from the pump. So I'll just show you quickly what my plan is to try and reduce that noise. Right, so I've taken the wooden cover off. That's the wooden cover, that's the thing obviously. So this area here, this is what I've done before. So I've got this pump suspended off cable ties to try and sort of isolate noise a bit of bubble wrap around the pump. The pump doesn't get really hot at all really, because it's only like a solenoid pump, and I've got diesel going through to cool it down. So my plan is, a good few months back now, I did deliver some really dense sound deadening material, rolls of it. So I thought I was going to get some of that and put some of that in here. I think it's quite pricey, but I couldn't really find it on eBay. Best I could find was this stuff. So it's got foil on one side, different thicknesses of foam, acoustic foam. This is the 10mm, that's the squashed down bit because it's been wrapped up, so there it is. And adhesive on the back. So my plan is to put this around the pump and certain other key areas, I think. Try and cover up these to stop the noise going through there and coming back through the bulkhead. Yeah, so that's the plan. It's going to be a bit fiddly because I've obviously got the fuel lines, the wiring, all that kind of gubbins. So just going to have to try and do my best and try and get this kind of cocooned in this. So that's the outside bit. So the idea is, I think, that reflects the sound noise waves, and then obviously got the sponge on the back to soak up the vibrations as well. So that's the theory. Let's see how I get on. Right, I've finished adding the sound deadening around the dosing pump, solenoid pump, so have a look at this. Yeah, so here it is. So the main bit is down here, so this is obviously the pump. So I've added to the back around the sides here, and also underneath that little cross member that pump's mounted to. And I just did up here as well because it's kind of easier to do that all in one, and I thought I might as well. Got plenty of material. Loads of cars going past. That's it basically. A bit of a pain in that area with all the wires and the one pipe, or a pipe in and a pipe out. And then on the back cover, so that's going to be obviously screwed to there, and we'll cover this and hopefully sort of make quite nicely up against these. The joints here, I have put some foil tape just to cover the gaps as well. Just thought I might as well to try and do a good job while I'm here. Hopefully this is going to be enough to make it quiet enough, so I don't have to put my earplugs in when I go to sleep at night. That'll be nice. Yeah, so that is basically all the work I've done to date in terms of the night heater installation. So I finished off, as I went through the video, insulating the van with expanding foam for the bits I couldn't get to, and then just used the normal loft insulation behind the wooden panels. And then I've obviously boxed off the heater itself to protect it and put it, out of view. And then also where the tank is as well, I've boxed that in again for protection, and so it's not so obvious what it is. And then also I've tried on 2 occasions to, when I first did the installation, put some kind of sound deadening measures in. And then I've tried again with that silvery stuff. In terms of an update on that, it has made it quieter, a fair bit quieter, but I'd say the pump is still a bit noisy because it ticks away. If you've watched any of my recent vlogs when I've had it running in the background, when I've been filming the update in the evening, you probably heard the ticking. You might have wondered what it was. It's the ticking from the dosing pump of the heater. As I say, the fan, when I've got it going full blast, the heater, to get the van up to temperature, the fan's loud and the pump's loud because it's pumping quite fast, and the faster the pump runs, to put more fuel into the burner, the faster the fan runs. And then if I put it down to a low setting, the fan isn't very noisy at all. That's not an issue with sleeping, but like I say, the pump kind of is. There was one occasion where I forgot my earplugs, didn't have any earplugs, so I just had to leave it on overnight, and I still slept all right. Don't think it affected. Still had a good decent night's sleep. I think it's kind of like borderline too noisy, so I forgot that I've just kind of accepted the fact that if I'm using the night here, I need to put my earplugs in, which are just them foam ones. I've got a bag full of them because the place I used to work, they gave me loads for some reason. Years and years ago, and I still got like bags of them, and like dozens of them. So yeah, got loads of them. In terms of the heater settings, so like I say, when I'm heating it up, I put it on full blast, which is 3 hertz. The speed is in hertz, and what that means is how many times the dosing pump pulses per second. So the max for my heater, which is a 2 kilowatt version, the most it can run at, the highest dosage is 3 hertz. So it'll inject fuel into the burner 3 times a second. The lowest is 1.2. So what I do is I put it on full blast for like 15-20 minutes to get the van up to temperature. When it's running and starting off, I have the van engine running. Reason I do that is so it's not drawing too much power from the battery, because it's got more of a demand on electrical demand in terms of current, because it's running at full speed, so the fan's running flat out, it's dosing more, and also when you start it, it's got a glow plug in there which uses quite a lot of electrical power. So I always start it with the engine running, and I leave it running for like 15-20 minutes, the engine, and then after 15-20 minutes, when it's getting a bit toasty in the back, I'll go into the back and I'll turn it down, and then once that's turned down, I can turn the engine off, and then the system's just running off the car battery. So just got the standard battery in the van, I haven't put an extra one in, I don't think you need to. And if you do go into extra batteries, leisure batteries, it's a lot more complex, a lot more cost, and of course it's extra weight, so weight's a big issue in a courier's van. So yeah, that's what I'll do, and I tend to put it on between 1.2 hertz and 1.6 hertz overnight. That'll be for about 8 hours. Typically when I'm sleeping, maybe as much as 9 hours. And I find, and then in the morning, I actually whack it back on full blast for 10 to 15 minutes. This is just stuff I've read online. Good way you should start it flat out, put it to your normal setting, and then before you knock it off, if it's been running on a low power setting, you shouldn't just knock it off there, because it might be like build up a soot in the burner. You need to run it full blast for at least 10 minutes. So I put it up to 3 hertz again for 10 minutes. So that's drawing more power from the battery, but it's only for the fan and the pump, and for a very short occasion for the glow plug. It puts the glow plug on for a short period of time, maybe like 30 seconds if that, just to burn off any soot off the glow plug to make sure it can start up again the next time. Well, so that's okay, and then it'll cut off. And then I find when I go and then switch the electrical supply, so I've got a switch, as I mentioned in the first part of this night heat installation. I've got a switch below on the bulkhead below the seat here, so down there behind the handbrake, so I knock it off there, and then I start the van, and I've never had an issue with the van starting in terms of the battery being drained or anything. It doesn't really affect it, to be honest. It just starts up like normal, maybe slightly slower turning over, but not like, probably that's just me imagining that, to be honest. Normally it just like flashes over as usual. So the battery's plenty big enough if I run it like that. Obviously it's a new van, just coming up 12 months old now, so the battery is pretty fresh. So that's how I run it. And the noise, in terms of overnight, it has got a thermostat on the controls unit, so you can set it to a temperature. So I could say I want it to stay at 17 degrees, and when it gets below 17 degrees it will put it up, it will increase the rate of fuel to it and the fan speed, and then when it gets there it drops down. But what I did notice with that was it's going up and down all the time. It gets quite noisy during the night. I did try it once. So what I've settled on now is I just put it on manual, and I look at the temperature, the forecast, how cold is it going to be, and I decide whether I'm going to put it between 1.2 hertz and 1.6 hertz. I found if I put it at 1.2 hertz, which is the lowest setting you can put, so 1.2 doses of the fuel into the burner per second, that's about 10 degrees C difference between the outside temperature and the inside. If I put it up to 1.6, it's more like 12, 13. So I look at it, decide what hertz am I going to put it on, and then I decide what sleeping bag I'm going to use. So I've kind of got three options in terms of sleeping bag. I've got my summer sleeping bag, which is an old cotton style one, which I find the most comfortable. And then I've got that plus another cheap sleeping bag, which I sometimes leave like open out and just put over me as like an extra blanket. It's kind of what I'm using at the most at the moment, that sort of arrangement. And then I've also got my proper winter down sleeping bag, which I can use to sort of high single figures. I don't actually need to have to put the pump on, the heater on. I just use that sleeping bag and I'm plenty comfortable. I tend to use the night heater when it's like low single figures, so like anything 5 degrees below, I'll say, right, I'm putting the heater on, and then I'm like, what setting do I need to leave it on, and what sleeping bag am I using the arrangement? It's all very technical, isn't it? But you kind of find your way. Yeah, so that's it basically. It works great, to be honest. The only issue I had was after the summer break, I hadn't used it in several months. I tried to fire it up, it failed, gave me an error code, and I think it was just because it had been stood for so long. Maybe the system, maybe a bit of air had got into the system somehow, but there wasn't any leaks because I checked and can't smell or see any diesel. Or maybe the diesel had gone a bit stale. I don't know if diesel goes stale, I know petrol does. And then I just tried a second time to start it up again, and it started up with a bit of smoke, because I think there's a bit of spare diesel in there. But then it got running up to temperature, and it's been fine ever since this winter. Yeah, so that's it. So I did mention previous things. I don't know if I'm going to put a roof vent in, because I did think, how hot's it going to get in there? Maybe this thing is going to pump out so much heat it's going to be too hot in the back, and I might have to put a roof vent in to sort of modulate the temperature a bit. Definitely don't need to do that, so I'm not going to bother with a roof vent. No point paying for it and doing that work and drilling a hole in your roof if you don't have to. In terms of, so it's pretty well insulated now on the sides, but I've got no insulation on the roof, and obviously the roof is just a tiny little thin piece of sheet metal. In most places just like probably 2 mil thick, if that. So, and it's metal, so a lot of heat just goes straight out the roof. So I could insulate the roof, which I might give a go at. The foil with a sponge backing, the acoustic insulation that I used inside below the fuel tank next to the pump, you can get that, but a thinner version, like 2 or 3 mils worth of sponge, and it's obviously got that foil layer. So I'm thinking about maybe buying some rolls of that, putting it on the roof or one of the flat panels, and then the box section where you got the braces going over, I could put some expanding foam in them just to insulate them as well. But I'd have to do that all the way from front to back, which is quite a long way, and so you know the cost would add up. I don't know if I'll bother. Another thing is I could just do it from the back doors to sort of just behind the side loading door, and then I could try this once actually. I thought if I could get a big bed sheet and use bungee cords that run up and down the side of the van and along the top brace, I could put a sheet there, so it's just kind of heating the temperature in that area more rather than heating the front half of the van. I think that's probably what I'd do if I wanted to increase the insulation. I'd do the insulation just for that back part of the van on the roof, and then I'd put that sheet in. That would make a difference, I think, but I'm not entirely sure it's necessary. So that's where I'm at, and like I say, if I do that, any other mods, I will put them in the vlogs and stuff. I'll just mention it as I go along, or maybe, probably not, but in the future I might do another video of how it's running.
maybe a short one, but let's see how it go on that. Had a few comments on is it safe and all that stuff, but I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the first one. I think I did. I have got a carbon monoxide sensor, so I made sure I got one of them, and also a smoke alarm in the van. So they're on kind of like above here on that shelf, sort of, so they get plenty of air to them. So if there's any issues with that, it's going to go off and wake me up, so I don't stuff it in the night. That would obviously be pretty tragic. Yeah, so that is the night heater so far. Pretty happy with it. It's running fine. Touch wood. Don't want to curse it. So I've got the 2 kilowatt one. Like I said, the only issue I've got with it really is a noise, but I've just had to accept I just need to wear earplugs. And when you're in a van, if you're parked anywhere near a road, you're going to get loads of road noise, and if it rains, it makes an absolute racket on the roof. So you quite often end up wearing earplugs anyway to get a decent night's sleep. I think these people who got them in trucks, you know, tractor units or articulated trucks, I think they're the 2 kilowatt ones, the same size, but it'll obviously be the posh German versions like Webasto and Eberspacher heaters, which the Chinese are a copy of. But they've got obviously fully insulated cabs for sound and heat as well. They got curtains over the windows, and I think in terms of the noise from the pump, it's probably outside or below the truck or something. Maybe I could put, if I did it again, or if I was suggesting improvements for somebody else before they did it, maybe put the pump outside a van, underneath the van. But if you did, you'd have to put it in a really watertight like enclosure, like an adaptable box, they call them, electricians, like plastic boxes that are sort of like weather tight and you can properly seal it and stuff. Maybe that's an idea. Anyway, that's it. Any tips as ever for me or anyone else who watches this video, please put them in the comments below. And as ever, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and all that jazz if you haven't already. Cheers.